Well, what's going on, people? It's Paulito. Hope you guys are doing all right. And yeah, today I want to talk about Nintendo, and I want to talk about this little emulator that's been floating around called Delta Emulator, this little app that you can find in Apple's App Store currently. So, what's funny is, like, I know Apple was very anti emulation in their App Store, but it seems like they kind of eased in their policy, and now Delta emulators are now available in their App Store. Now, this emulator can play old Nintendo games or consoles, right? Super Nintendo, Nintendo, Game Boy, Game Boy Advance, heck, even the N64. Now, what do you think Nintendo feels about that currently, right? Because Nintendo and their Nintendo Shinobis, they'll swoop right in and they can easily shut this down, right? Because they've done it in the past. They've been slowly killing off emulators and emulation anything with their Nintendo Shinobis, and that could be with sending out cease and desist letters or even taking them to court, banning them, whatever, right? They're very, very protective of their IPs. Now, I feel like Nintendo kind of put themselves in a position like that when it comes to people trying to find ways of playing their old games. Yes, they do have, their service, Nintendo Online, and yes, you can play some of their party titles and even a little bit of the third party, but not everything. You can't play every first party, let alone, a lot of the third party, games from back in the day. So, of course, people are going to find ways, to play it. And that could be anything, right? I mean, you can get little mini computers like Raspberry Pis that can run emulation on it, emulators like RetroPie or whatever. And then you got these Chinese manufacturers that are coming out with little handhelds, right? Like the Neo Mini Plus or Abernic, and they're like RG whatever little handheld consoles. I remember back in the day, I mean, you on the virtual console, you were allowed to buy a bunch of these games, because if you don't have Nintendo online service, you can't play any of these games because it's more of a live streaming service, right? So, Delta Emulator, right? It's an emulation app that's again found on iOS devices. And it's going to be interesting because now we got, I know Nintendo they're honing in on this, right? I haven't heard anything as of today. I'm sure as time goes by, I wouldn't be surprised that, Nintendo goes at Apple to say, hey, you need to shut those guys down because whatever. I don't know how Delta is somehow getting away with this, and I'm again surprised Nintendo hasn't really jumped into it as well. So, but again, sometimes I feel like Nintendo just kind of puts themselves in this position where, I'm all about preserving, the games from the past, right? I still have my N64. I still have all the games that I had when I was a kid. And I still buy some from time to time. You know what I mean? And if I ever want to play it, I can just hook it up and then I'm ready to go, right? Because when I look at the N64 section of Nintendo Online service, not every game is going to be in there. And I understand due to licensing, right? Some of the old wrestling games, I'm a wrestling fan, right? And I felt like the N64 came out with some of the best wrestling games that were ever made, right? Can't find that on Nintendo Online service. And again, I understand due to licensing. So, again, Nintendo, like I said before, I'm all about, preserving the past, right? But it's getting very, very difficult to do that unless you want to dish out the money to start collecting some of these old games, because I mean, if I wanted to say start up my old Super Nintendo collection, right? Some of the games I want cost a penny, right? You got Chrono Trigger, you got Earthbound, right? Those things alone, just the cartridges alone are hundreds of dollars, right? I've seen the A Link to the Past, you know, in box with the manual and everything for a few $100. So again, very hard to just start up the, you know, the hobby now and trying to get these games back so you can play them. So emulation comes in, right? And now that's starting to wear thin. So I don't know, what do you guys think? What do you think is going to happen in this current situation, right, with Delta and Nintendo? Do you think it's going to be an Apple versus Nintendo situation, or is Apple just going to comply and be like, you know what, okay, we'll tell Delta to just, you know, kick dirt or something like that? What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Like, subscribe, and catch you guys in the next video. Adios.